Silent watchers. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Concordat maintained peace across 200,000 worlds. Most species celebrated this unprecedented era of prosperity and cooperation. Treaties were honored, resources shared, and diplomatic channels remained open. The great warships of old had been converted to exploration vessels or museum pieces. Military academies became centers for xenocultural studies. The galaxies slept peacefully under the watchful eye of the Concordat Council. All species except one. Humanity never fully disarmed. Deep beneath the ancient mountains of Earth, in bunkers sealed from prying eyes and scanning technology, generals and admirals continued to train. Engineers refined weapon designs in secret facilities burrowed into asteroid cores. Politicians publicly championed peace while privately funding the Shadow Fleet. Vessels constructed in hidden shipyards, scattered across Sol's Oort cloud, equipped with stealth technology beyond anything the Concordat had ever seen. Humans smiled at diplomatic functions while remembering old wars. They voted for peace initiatives while stockpiling ammunition. They sang songs of harmony while their children practiced combat simulations disguised as entertainment. Perhaps it was simply how humans were wired, evolved on a predator-rich death world, their DNA encoded with suspicion and vigilance. Or perhaps they simply understood the universe better than the others. Peace had never lasted forever. It couldn't. It wouldn't. Commander Elena Reyes stood in the observation chamber of Watchtower 7, a monitoring station disguised as a deep space research facility. The official mission: to study cosmic background radiation. The real purpose: to serve as an early warning system, scanning the darkness between galaxies for any sign of threat. Still nothing, she asked, though she already knew the answer. Lieutenant Kaddish wouldn't have called her at 300 hours otherwise. Something, Commander. Kaddish's fingers danced across his console, bringing up a holographic display of signal patterns. We detected it 3 hours ago. Very faint, but definitely artificial, and definitely not Concordat in origin. Elena leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as she studied the patterns. Direction: the void between Andromeda and our galaxy, approaching at approximately 1/3 light speed. 1/3. Elena felt her pulse quicken. Nothing travels that fast except warships, Kaddish finished. Massive ones. Elena straightened, years of training kicking in. Have you informed Earth Command? Yes, ma'am. General Santiago has initiated Protocol Cassandra. Protocol Cassandra, named after the Trojan priestess who foresaw disaster but was never believed. The irony wasn't lost on Elena. For thousands of years, humanity had prepared for this moment while the rest of the galaxy mocked their paranoia. How long until they reach Concordat space? At current velocity, approximately 68 hours. Elena felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Not much time. And how long until the Concordat notices them? Kaddish grimaced. Their outer sensor grid hasn't been maintained properly in centuries. They'll likely detect nothing until the fleet is practically on top of them. 50 hours, perhaps less. So we have less than 3 days to prepare for an invasion nobody believes is coming. Elena's voice was flat, emotionless. This was what she had trained for her entire career, what generations of human military personnel had prepared for since the dawn of the Concordat. Yes, Commander. Very well. Sound General Quarters. I want all personnel at battle stations within 30 minutes. Prepare to evacuate all non-essential staff to Earth. She paused, then added, and contact the Shadow Fleet. Tell Admiral Ortiz to deploy to Rally Point Thermopylae. Kaddish's eyes widened slightly. The entire fleet, Commander. The entire fleet, Lieutenant. The day we've been planning for has arrived. Within hours, humanity's secret preparations began to unfold. Across Earth and the Sol system, civilians went about their daily lives, blissfully unaware that hidden bunkers were being activated, weapon caches unsealed, and defense grids powered up for the first time in generations. In orbit above Earth, the Concordat's representative, Ambassador Thalix, noticed nothing unusual as he prepared for yet another routine cultural exchange. The six-limbed diplomat from Proxima Centauri had served on Earth for decades, reporting back to the Council that humans remained fully committed to peace. His latest assessment noted approvingly that Earth's military budget had decreased by another 2%. What Ambassador Thalix couldn't know, was that the official military budget was a facade. The real funding flowed through thousands of seemingly unrelated channels, disguised as research grants, infrastructure projects, and even entertainment productions. As Elena hurried through the corridors of Watchtower 7, her comm unit buzzed with a priority message. It was Admiral Ortiz, commander of the Shadow Fleet. Commander Reyes, the Admiral's voice was tense but controlled. I've reviewed the signal data. This isn't a simple invasion force. Elena ducked into a private conference room. Explain. The energy signatures suggest at least 300 capital ships, possibly more. Based on their configuration, they appear to be optimization-class vessels. Elena felt her blood run cold. Harvesters. That's my assessment. They're not coming to conquer. They're coming to consume. Optimization-class vessels. Planet killers. Ships designed to strip worlds of all useful resources, including organic life, and convert them into fuel and materials. The Concordat had banned such technology millennia ago, after the Harvest Wars nearly destroyed galactic civilization. I'm sending you coordinates for a rendezvous with the Shadow Fleet, Admiral Ortiz continued. We need you and your team. My team. Elena frowned. With respect, Admiral, we're an observation unit, not combat specialists. You're both, Commander. Or have you forgotten Operation Black Dawn? Elena hadn't forgotten. 5 years ago, her team had intercepted and neutralized a rogue AI vessel that had attempted to breach Sol's defenses. The operation remained classified at the highest levels. Even most of Earth's military leadership didn't know about it. We'll be ready, she said. Good. And Commander, we won't be informing the Concordat Council. Not yet. Sir, with all due respect. That's an order, Commander. The last time we tried to warn them about a threat, they conducted a 3-year investigation into our warmongering tendencies. We don't have that kind of time now. Elena wanted to argue but knew the Admiral was right. The Concordat had grown complacent in its peace, viewing any mention of potential threats as disruptive fear-mongering. Understood. Admiral. Rise out. She ended the communication and stood for a moment, gathering her thoughts. Then she activated the station's intercom. Attention all personnel. This is Commander Reyes. As of this moment, Watchtower 7 is initiating combat protocols. All observation teams will report to their secondary duty stations. All defense teams will prepare for immediate deployment. This is not a drill. Throughout the station, lights dimmed to battle conditions as personnel rushed to their positions. In the armory, weapon lockers that hadn't been opened in years were unsealed, revealing armaments far beyond officially sanctioned technology. Lieutenant Kaddish approached, already wearing combat gear. Strike Team Alpha is assembled and waiting for you in Hangar 2, Commander. Elena nodded. And our ship. The Shadow Dancer is prepped and ready. All stealth systems operational. The Shadow Dancer, a vessel whose existence was denied in every official record. A warship disguised as a scientific explorer, armed with weapons that could reduce a moon to rubble, yet capable of slipping past the most sophisticated detection systems in the galaxy. 48 hours later, Elena stood on the bridge of the Shadow Dancer, staring at the tactical display. The enemy fleet had been accurately tracked, its trajectory confirming Admiral Ortiz's fears. They were heading directly for Concordat space, specifically toward the densely populated Orion Spur. The Shadow Fleet, 67 warships of various classes, all officially non-existent, had taken position at the edge of the Sol system, ready to move once the order came. Commander, Lieutenant Kaddish called from his station. We're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. The Concordat Council has finally detected the approaching fleet and has called an emergency session. Too little, too late, Elena muttered. What's their response? They're dispatching a diplomatic vessel to establish communication. Elena closed her eyes briefly. Of course they were. 3,000 years of peace had left the Concordat believing that all conflicts could be resolved through dialogue. They're going to get slaughtered. Commander, another officer called out. Long-range sensors detecting energy spikes from the lead vessels and the enemy fleet. They're charging weapons. Elena turned to her communications officer. Send word to Admiral Ortiz. The Concordat's diplomatic mission is about to become a first contact casualty. Request permission to intercept. The reply came almost instantly. Permission granted. Shadow Fleet moving to support positions. Good hunting, Commander. Elena took her command chair, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity had prepared for this day for 3 millennia, maintaining their vigilance while the rest of the galaxy slept. Now, they would be the first line of defense against an enemy that had come to devour worlds. All hands, battle stations, she ordered. Set course to intercept the Concordat diplomatic vessel. Maximum stealth protocols. Let's try to save those fools from themselves. As the Shadow Dancer surged forward, Elena couldn't help but reflect on the irony. Humanity, long viewed with suspicion for their inability to fully embrace peace, would now fight to protect the very institutions that had doubted them. The galaxy was about to learn why humans never stopped watching the darkness between stars. The Vanguard. The Concordat diplomatic vessel Harmonious Discourse drifted through space, its elegant lines reflecting the peaceful philosophy of its designers. Unarmed, protected only by standard navigational shields, it approached the incoming fleet with message beacons broadcasting greetings in over 5,000 languages. From the bridge of the Shadow Dancer, Elena watched with a mixture of admiration and frustration. Admiration for their commitment to peace, frustration at their naivety. Commander, Lieutenant Kaddish reported, the lead vessel of the unknown fleet is altering course. It's moving to intercept the Concordat ship. Time to intercept. 12 minutes, 17 seconds. Elena made her decision. Bring us out of stealth. Launch warning buoys toward the Harmonious Discourse. They need to know what they're facing. The Shadow Dancer shimmered into visibility as its stealth systems deactivated. Immediately, alarms sounded on the Concordat vessel. They've detected us, Kaddish reported. They're hailing us. Commander, they're demanding we stand down. They're claiming we're violating Concordat peacekeeping protocols. Elena almost laughed. Even now, with destruction bearing down on them, the Concordat was more concerned about an unauthorized human vessel than the approaching threat. Open a channel, she ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the Harmonious Discourse. A tall, willowy figure with iridescent skin stood at its center. Ambassador Nelfid of the Elish, one of the founding species of the Concordat. Unknown human vessel, the ambassador's voice was melodious but stern. You are in violation of treaty statutes. The Concordat Council has sole authority to engage with newly encountered species. Return to your jurisdiction immediately. Elena leaned forward. Ambassador Nelfid, I am Commander Elena Reyes of Earth Defense Force. The fleet you're approaching is not here for diplomatic relations. They are harvesters, optimization-class entities. They're here to strip our worlds bare. The ambassador's expression didn't change. Commander, your alarmism is unwarranted. We have no evidence of hostile intent. The Concordat has maintained peace for 3 millennia through dialogue and understanding, not through militaristic posturing. With all due respect, Ambassador, you have less than 10 minutes before. The warning came too late. A blinding beam of energy lanced out from the lead harvester vessel, slicing through the Harmonious Discourse like a scalpel through tissue. The diplomatic ship's shields flickered briefly, then failed completely as the beam cut the vessel in half. Silence fell over the Shadow Dancer's bridge as they watched the Concordat ship break apart. Atmosphere venting into space, debris spinning into the void. No survivors detected, Kadish reported quietly. Alina's jaw tightened. Send the recording to all Concordat worlds. Full spectrum broadcast. Emergency override codes. She turned to her tactical officer. Weapons status. All systems ready, Commander. Target the lead harvester vessel. Fire when ready. The Shadow Dancer's weapons, technology developed in secret over centuries, roared to life. Quantum disruptors, gravitic lances, and phase torpedoes, all weapons that officially didn't exist, struck the harvester ship simultaneously. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, fracture lines appeared across the massive vessel's hull, spreading like cracks in ice. The harvester ship shuddered, then exploded in a spectacular eruption of energy. Kadish looked up from his console, eyes wide. Direct hit. Enemy vessel destroyed. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Alina remained focused. One down. Hundreds to go. And now we've got their attention. As if in response, dozens of smaller vessels detached from the harvester fleet, accelerating toward the Shadow Dancer. Evasive maneuvers, Alina ordered, and signal the Shadow Fleet. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity has been preparing for. Across the void, the Shadow Fleet decloaked. 67 warships of varying sizes, each bristling with weapon systems unknown to the wider Concordat. They moved with precision, taking up defensive formations that had been practiced countless times in secret war games. Admiral Ortiz's flagship, the Vigilant, led the charge, its massive frame belying its incredible speed. Alongside it flew specialized strike cruisers, carrier vessels launching swarms of fighter craft, and heavy bombardment platforms. The battle that followed would later be called the Vanguard Engagement, humanity's first open defense against the harvester threat. For 6 hours, the Shadow Fleet fought a desperate holding action, giving Concordat worlds time to activate their long-neglected defense systems. The Shadow Dancer darted between larger enemy vessels, using its superior maneuverability to target weak points identified by Alina's tactical team. Lieutenant Kadish, working frantically at his sensor station, made a critical discovery. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations in the harvester command ships. They appear to be vulnerable to targeted electromagnetic pulses at specific frequencies. Alina didn't hesitate. Transmit those frequencies to all Shadow Fleet vessels. Recalibrate our EMP weapons immediately. The effect was immediate and devastating. Properly tuned EMP weapons caused cascading failures throughout the harvester fleet. Ships that had shrugged off direct hits from conventional weapons suddenly found their systems failing, their weapons powerless. Push the advantage, Alina ordered. Target their propulsion systems. I want them dead in space. As the battle turned, communications came in from across Concordat space. Defense stations that had sat dormant for centuries were being reactivated. Civilian ships were being evacuated from border systems, and from Earth came new orders. A diplomatic channel had been opened with the Concordat Council. General Santiago's face appeared on Alina's private screen. Commander Reyes, the Council is demanding answers. They want to know how humanity possessed a battle-ready fleet in violation of every disarmament treaty we signed. Alina glanced at her tactical display, where the battle continued to rage. Tell them we'll be happy to discuss treaty violations after we save their worlds from being harvested. The general's weathered face broke into a rare smile. Already did. They're sending reinforcements. What little they have. It seems the Peace Concordat actually maintained a small defense force. Not much, but better than nothing. We'll take whatever help we can get, Alina replied. Hours turned into days as the battle expanded across multiple star systems. The harvesters, despite their initial setbacks, proved to be adaptable opponents. They modified their shielding to resist the EMP attacks, forcing humanity's forces to develop new tactics. Alina's team, drawing on their specialized training, led a daring boarding action against one of the harvester command ships. Fighting through corridors filled with automated defense systems, they reached the central control node, only to discover the truth that would change everything. The harvesters weren't controlled by any organic species. They were autonomous, self-replicating machines, programmed to optimize the galaxy by converting all matter into more of themselves. They had been created eons ago by a long-extinct civilization and had been traveling between galaxies ever since, consuming everything in their path. With this knowledge, humanity developed a viral code that could infect the harvester network, causing the machines to identify themselves as targets for optimization. The effect was devastating as harvester ships began to attack one another, their programming corrupted beyond repair. 2 weeks after the initial contact, the last harvester vessel was neutralized, drifting powerless in the void between stars. The threat had been contained, at least for now. In the aftermath, the Concordat Council convened an emergency session. Humanity, once viewed with suspicion for their inability to fully embrace peace, was now hailed as the saviors of galactic civilization. The Shadow Fleet, once a secret violation of countless treaties, was recognized as the foundation for a new Concordat defense force. Elena stood before the council, still wearing her battle-scarred uniform. Ambassador Thalix, who had served on Earth for decades without ever suspecting humanity's secret preparations, regarded her with new respect. Commander Reyes, the ancient Elish counselor, spoke. Humanity has proven itself today, not just through your martial prowess, but through your foresight. For 3,000 years, you maintained vigilance while the rest of us slumbered in the comfort of peace. Elena nodded acknowledgement but offered no apology for the deception. None was needed now. The question before us, the counselor continued, is what happens next. The harvester threat may be contained, but there will be others. The galaxy can no longer afford the luxury of absolute pacifism, nor can it return to the wars of the past. Elena responded, humanity doesn't propose militarization, but preparedness. Peace through strength, not peace through hope. The debate that followed would reshape the Concordat forever. New defense protocols were established, drawing heavily on humanity's long-hidden military doctrine. Training programs were initiated, with human instructors teaching combat techniques to species that hadn't wielded weapons in generations. And deep in space, at the edge of the galaxy, watch stations were constructed, sentinels against future threats, modeled after the human watchtowers that had provided the crucial early warning. As Elena returned to Earth aboard the Shadow Dancer, she stood in the observation deck, watching the stars. Humanity had spent 3 millennia preparing for a war they hoped would never come, maintaining their vigilance while the rest of the galaxy embraced a peace that couldn't last forever. They had been right to prepare, right to watch the darkness between stars. And now, because of that vigilance, because humans had never fully trusted in eternal peace, the galaxy had survived its greatest threat. Peace had ended in fire, just as humanity had always known it would. But from those flames, a stronger, wiser civilization would emerge, one that understood that true peace came not from ignoring the darkness, but from standing ready to face it. As the Shadow Dancer entered Earth orbit, Elena allowed herself a small smile. The 3,000-year vigil was over. A new era had begun.